What is going on, Future
What is
Focus
going on?
family?
What
My
is
name
going
is
on? What
Jules.
is going on?
That's Matt. And every day we make videos to help you make money investing. And today we're going to be talking about a lot. It's been a while since we've been on. Matt, you having audio issues? Are we good? Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, but could you switch my device? I got somebody waiting in the back.
Hold, hold on. It hasn't popped. Oh, wait. Maybe it has. Hold on. There you go. You good now? I think your mic is still off. But
Let's
how you
do
doing, Matt?
business. Let's do business. Man, I'm blessed to still be here in what's this? Q1 FY22. I'm about to have another financial birthday. So I'm
Ooh,
grateful. I celebrate
that's
financial birthdays over here, not calendar year birthdays, financial birthdays.
I feel you, man. Today, the S&P 500 is currently up 0.07%. The Dow is currently down 0.15%. The NASDAQ up 0.24%. The Russell 2000 is slightly up at 0.01%. Crude oil is up at $82. Think about it. When you and me were in Australia, this thing went negative $37. And now it's back up to 82.57. So something to think about there. Your favorite commodity, well, one of them is up $1,770, and y'all know that's gold. Silver is down 23.20, so maybe a good time to get in there. The 10-year yield is up 1.58%, and Bitcoin is currently up $61,892. It has passed that $60,000 threshold that has been a heavy level of resistance. So we can stay above that. That $100,000 Bitcoin everybody talks about. I think we could be going there. I know a lot of people were bearish when we hit that $30,000 mark. We cut 50% off of Bitcoin, but that's when a lot of the hedge funds got in there and they took full advantage. And all those money managers, and as of right now, congratulations, because y'all are up 100% since that investment. If you, all the other ones who have invested, if you invested in there when it went under $30,000 for a few days, y'all are doing really well right now as well. Um, what do you think? What do you think of all this money action this week? Well, to start off the
You
week.
know, you know. Oh man, so much to stir the pot with. So much to stir the pot with. I'm I'm seeing the acceptance. Yeah, I'm seeing the acceptance. Okay, but I'm not completely sold, but I'm seeing the
No.
acceptance.
Yeah, so Gary
I see
Gensler,
the ETF.
yeah, you saw that. It's not the real ETF. Everybody don't get it twisted. It's a futures ETF. Is You're basically
That's
investing in a derivative, but it's a stepping stone. It's a stepping stone forward. It's not an ETF where you're buying the underlying asset. It's derivatives of futures. So just know what you're investing in if you're going to be investing in it. But I think it's a bullish. You agree or you disagree?
I'm a short term extremely bullish, long term extremely bearish, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Ooh,
You
tell
don't
me, tell
you
me.
don't you don't need that. You don't need that. Why? And I'm gonna tell you something. That's what got gold and silver in trouble. All the ETFs and all the future contracts. What they do is they prevent you, right? Or they let me not say prevent because that's not the right word. They lure
Okay.
you into giving your money into the ETF when you can hold the asset yourself. What does this
Meanwhile, they're holding the
ETF?
asset.
Right, and you don't know. That's the thing. You don't know exactly how they're spending the money, or you're giving them the money to buy more Bitcoin, but you don't know the time frames. So that money could just be sitting in the pool. You don't know.
Yeah,
So I want to know what's the point. Does it doesn't make it more affordable, right? Satoshis do that. It doesn't make it. I guess maybe arguably one could say it makes it more accessible to the hedge funds, to certain institutions that aren't allowed direct exposure to Bitcoin. But outside of that, I don't know what benefit it truly brings to Bitcoin.
I
Yeah,
I think more about it, about the exposure, and a lot of these hedge funds who haven't invested in it because they haven't gotten approval, it might be a way for like all of these pension funds to get into Bitcoin and it be in more in a safer manner, if that makes sense. Um, Investing in
um,
the yeah, go ahead.
it I'm sorry, pardon me. No, it doesn't make sense because if Bitcoin goes down, that ETF futures contracts are going down. So that I feel like it brings very minimal benefit. I personally, from what I see, again, I just want everybody to know my little conspiracy theory hat, but I'm gonna back it up this time. Whenever you see commodities and or any asset class, um, they start shuffling, especially with commodities. Now, I can't really say that for the other equities or for the other asset classes like real estate. I think REITs are really good, but specifically for the commodities, the way they control that price
Hmm.
is through futures contract, and what that allows them to do is dump as many shorts in there as possible. Next thing you know, that price start coming down, and but it's bullish because before they could control the market, they had to buy into it first. But once they had that control and interest in it, now they could dictate the prices. Now it's like, all right, well, hey, we there's a way to short Bitcoin now. Before there wasn't really a way. Now there's a way to short Bitcoin. So those are the things that you have to keep in mind.
All right. And talking about short selling, we're going to get into that a little bit today. It's a little educational piece. Short selling is talked about a lot, and a lot of people really talk about it without knowing what it is. So we're going to get into it and talk about a little bit more, give you some more clarity. So if you've never heard of short selling or you don't know what short selling is, we're going to talk about that. But before we get into that, let's talk about Squid Games. Have you watched Squid Games yet, Matt?
Nah, I
Nah?
said, wow, that's crazy.
So I recommend it. Netflix Squid Game is reportedly worth almost 900 million now. Netflix Squid Game will reportedly generate almost 900 million in value for the company. And the funny thing, they spend about 29 million to make it. So it's already worth 900 million dollars and they only spent 29 million to make. So already they're in the green. It was a great investment for them. One thing to keep in mind is that um, one of the things that Netflix is doing, and it's like I think it's going underreported. One of the things that they're doing is they're opening like a little store where you can buy stuff from them directly. Have you seen that?
I have not. I have not.
So,
I have not.
so what they're doing now, man, is like they're leveraging all their proprietary technology, proprietary shows, everything that they've made, and they're gonna monetize off of it by selling merchandise, selling dolls, selling things like that. Sort of like what Disney did. Disney, they have their streaming channel, and then they had like the Star Wars, right? They introduced Baby Yoda. What they do, they went and they sold Baby Yoda. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So this is going to be a new way for Netflix to bring revenue in. I think it's extremely bullish for Netflix investors and Netflix as a whole. Um, what are your thoughts?
I like it. I like it. And I'm not saying that they're not doing this. I'm not completely following them, but I would just continue developing that studio. They need to have a Netflix studio, so just like how there's the Tyler Perry Studios, Universal Studios. They need to have their own because that's their real money maker. You turn 29 million to 950 million. Let's forget the toys. Toys are great. Toys are great. Absolutely. But let's see if we could continue this the studio revenue. Let's see if we could do more in-house projects and facilitate that by making things cheaper and hiring Netflix actors, if you will, and things of that nature. But it's not bad. It's I like it. But I will
So,
focus on the studio part.
so out of all these streaming platforms, how many subscriptions model? Like, which ones do you subscribe to personally?
Netflix, and then I have Amazon Prime. That's it. I really want Hulu, but I'm just too cheap to get it. But I really
Yeah.
want Hulu.
So what I did, man, I did the Disney bundle, which you get Disney Plus, you get Hulu, and you also get ESPN Plus for
Okay.
I think it's $13. So you get all three platforms. That doesn't include the live. So for me, Hulu costs $70 for the live because I do the ad-free live, so I can watch because I
Okay.
don't pay for cable, so that's like my live TV channel. But I think it's a good value because I use ESPN Plus. Like I'm into sports, and Disney they have all the Marvel. I'm into Marvel, and they have all the Marvel TV shows that are going on there. So I think that's a great product. But there's a lot of streaming platforms now, man. You have Apple TV, you have Peacock, you have CBS, you have Disney, you have Netflix, you have Amazon. Um, and then you have Discovery, who also bought HBO Max and all the proprietary stuff from AT&T. There, so that's another one. So that's like seven major platforms there. Um, what I expect to see, man, is some consolidation in that area. Like I think some of these big ones are going to start buying some of the small ones. Um, I think Disney, Netflix, and Amazon are going to be like the three high flyers. Uh, Talking about Apple TV, Apple's also in the news. They had their investor day in September, but they also just brought out another investor day. They're going to be introducing their watch. They're introducing a new iPad, a new. They previously they did the phone, the iPhone 13. So uh, I don't think they're talking about the car yet. That'll probably be 2022, but they have an EV that they're also working on as well. You think a Apple EV sounds interesting?
It does. It makes sense in a lot of ways. It does. Um, I'm starting to see them get into a lot of sectors. So again, that's for investors. That's great. The government. It kind of reminds me a little bit of 1910s, 1900s with the robber barons, right? And
Mhm.
that the antitrust laws. But very ambitious. But I gotta let's out. I gotta see this chip shortage solved first. And I get it. I know we have to plan until, but um, I know they had to reduce the amount of iPhones that they're planning on coming out with. So
Yeah.
this shortage is a very important development.
You're completely right, man. And talking about the semiconductor chips, man, those are not financial advice, but I think you are you'd be putting yourself in a great position if you bought this recent dip in these semiconductor companies, especially the very one that gets talked about the least is actually the biggest player in the entire space, and that's Taiwan Semiconductors. Um, they're on a different level, and I don't think people really understand their importance. Apple uses them, AMD uses them. Even these chip makers that are big chip makers, they have to have somebody to put all their technology together and make something called a wafer. And that wafer is the final product. Uh, they produce the highest quality wafers. And they just invested $100 billion to open a factory in the United States in order to reduce the big supply chain because currently they're in Taiwan right now. So, Taiwan Semiconductors is something that you should put on your radar. If you think that gaming is going to be big and it's going to be a growing industry, then I would put AMD on your radar. If you AMD chips are highly used for gaming and they're also used in mining. So people that are building mining rigs, a lot of them are using AMD technology for that. So um, I would keep your eye on those two companies. Those are two of my biggest bullish companies in the semiconductor space. Do you have any in the semiconductor space that you you look at or you're into?
Well, let me add to that by saying, I definitely, as some may say, and it gets misconstrued, but I'm gonna wear the hat today. So some say I come with a bearish standpoint, but let me say this about the semiconductors. I don't see a bearish standpoint.
Mm,
Even if a bearish incident happens or whatever the case have you, it's only gonna be up from there. I really like semiconductors. Um, I like it only second to commodities.
mm.
That's where it's at. That's a great call. I like that.
That's big. That's big.
Right? Right? I know
If
you
you're
like that. I
putting
know
it,
you appreciate that.
and I mean, it goes hand in hand, right? Because I think any semiconductor chip you make is gonna require precious metals, right or wrong. So I
Absolutely, but what I notice with them is that they're very more than the commodities it takes to build it. It's the type of atmosphere you have to build it in. It has to be super clean. It has to be highly certified people or highly educated people, the best in the industry. It's very the word is not capital intensive, but very intellectual property intensive, I would say.
Yeah. One of the things I heard, because I was doing research on this, and the CEO of Taiwan Semiconductors, he was describing, a chip, and one chip could be as small as a strand of hair, like it could be that thin. And inside one chip, that's the strand of hair, there's about 2 million little units in there.
God damn.
So, and every single one of those units needs to work. So just keep that in mind. Like, it's not. I think one of the bullish things on this company is on the space as a whole is that the barriers to entry, or as what Warren Buffett would call a moat, is extremely large. So that's
Very
something you want. You know what I mean?
uh, uh,
So that's
great point. Great point. Great point.
yeah.
Great point.
So the next thing we're gonna get into is, like we talked about, shorting stock. So we're gonna go into something shared. I'm gonna share it. It's from Investopedia, and let's just get into it. All right. So how can short selling make me money? All right. So let's boil this down. One way to make money on stocks for which the price is falling is called short selling, also known as going short or shorting. Short selling sounds like a fairly simple concept in theory. An investor borrows a stock, sells the stock, and then buys the stock back to return it to the lender. In practical terms, however, it is an advanced strategy that should only be used by experienced investors and traders. And a lot of the Reddit, the apes, the Wall Street bets crowd, they look at this as a negative, and not all of them, but a lot of them look at it as a negative because they say the hedge funds are, they're manipulating these stocks by short selling them, and in the process, they're benefiting from it. My take on it is that short selling is a necessary evil because you need to have a balance. You have people buying the stock on one side thinking it's bullish, but the bears are the ones who keep that price closer to the true retail value, the true value that it should be. So I think it's a necessary evil. Short sellers are wagering that the stock they are shorting will drop in price. If the stock does drop after selling, the short seller buys it back at a lower price and returns it to the lender. The difference between the sell price and the buy price is the short seller's profit. So the key takeaway: short sellers are wagering that a stock will drop in price, and one of the ways you could do this is by buying puts. You could either buy puts, or if you own 100 shares at least of a stock, you can sell calls. So if you sell a call, that means you think the stock is going to go down. If you buy a put, again, you think the stock is going to go down. So things to keep in mind. This is an example. If an investor thinks that Facebook is overvalued at 325 per share and is going to decline in price, the investor could borrow 10 shares of Facebook from their broker and then sell the shares for the current market price of 325. If the stock goes down to 250, the investor could buy 10 shares back at this price, return the borrowed shares to the broker, and net a profit of $750. However, if Facebook's share price rises to 375, that investor would lose $500. So there are risks, but what are they? Short selling substantially amplifies risk. When an investor buys the stock or goes long, they stand to lose only the money that they have invested. Thus, if an investor bought the share at 325, the maximum they could lose is 325 because the stock cannot drop less than zero. In other words, the maximum value of any stock can fall to is zero. Now, is this always true? No, because like you saw, oil fell negative 325. A lot of people lost money on that. So, have you ever shorted anything?
No, I think it requires that you have a margin percentage in there. So I tried to, but I think it's a little bit more difficult for retail investors.
Mhm. So, uh, you what were you trying to short?
I can't even remember it, and I'm happy whatever it was it didn't go through. Because what a terrible time to short anything.
I
What
know,
a terrible time to short everything.
especially
So,
Tesla. I mean, people have been
oh
trying to short
damn,
Tesla for about 8 years, 6 years now.
for a
They
good
are not.
reason, but
Yeah,
eh,
they
eh, what's his name is talking about shorting Bitcoin. Um,
Michael Barry.
yeah, yeah, I see you on it. I see you on it. I think he's I see his thesis. I think it's a little early, but I see his thesis. It's I didn't see his thesis, but I had my thesis, and I think it I think we're on the same page. I personally want to do it though. I want to do it. I want to do it. I want like to not right now. Maybe let's talk after that it hits 100K. Not right now because it's hitting 100K.
Okay.
It's hitting 100K.
uh, all right. So the next thing we're going to talk about is just things to keep on your radar for this week. It is a Monday. So let's talk about some things to discuss and look forward to in the week coming ahead. There's a lot of things in this channel. We like to look at things from a micro lens, but also from a macro lens. So let's talk about it. All right. So Tesla,
Let me
AT&T,
see.
Netflix, Chipotle, and other stocks for investors to watch this week. So these are companies that are going to be reporting earnings this week. Last week was big for the banks. So on Wednesday, Verizon, IBM, and Tesla will get the most attention. AT&T, American Airlines, Southwest Airlines, Chipotle, American Express, Schlumberger, and Honeywell closed the week on Friday. There's economic data that will highlight the week, and some of that will start on Monday, 10/18. The Federal Reserve will release its industrial production data for September. Economists are looking for a 20% rise after a 0.4 increase in August. Capacity utilization is expected at 76.5% for September, roughly in line with August's 76.4. So, just to put this in context for those who don't know, this moves markets. If things aren't the way it's supposed to go, the it should go down. If it's met or surpasses the expectation, then it usually goes up. The market usually follows a lot of these announcements. Albertsons, Phillips, Steel Dynamics, and State Street are among companies releasing quarterly financial results. So look out for those. Uh, Tuesday, 10/19, the Census Bureau reports new residential construction data for September. Economists forecast a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 1.623 million housing starts compared with 1.615 million in August. Something to add to this is that Zillow is kind of down right now because they announced that they're not going to be purchasing new homes anymore, and a lot of investors took that as a negative. So as of right now, Zillow was heavily down this morning. I'll even look it up right now so I can tell you exactly where they are right now. So Zillow is down 9.68% currently. And it was on that news. Halliburton, Procter and Gamble, Johnson and Johnson, Synchrony, Travelers, Philip Morris International, Kansas City Southern, WD-40, Interactive Brokers, Netflix, which we just talked about earlier, Manpower Group, Dover, and Canadian National Railway are among companies hosting earnings conference calls. Wednesday, the Federal Reserve releases its beige book about current economic conditions across the central bank's 12 districts. Abbott Laboratories, Biogen, NextEra Energy, ASML Holdings, NASDAQ, Verizon, CSX, Lam Research, which is another company in the tech space, Tesla, a big one to look forward to, IBM, and Anthem discuss quarterly financial results. Thursday, the National Association of Realtors reports existing home sales for September. Talking about real estate, I should be hearing about closing on my mortgage, my refinance soon. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. Dow, Freeport McMoran, Genuine Parts, Southwest Airlines, Valero Energy. Talking about that, my house was appraised last week at $231,000. I bought it at $164,000. So that could give you an idea of, and that was 2018. That could give you an idea of how crazy this housing market is right now. Somebody emailed me earlier asking about my house here in Virginia. Some random person saying, they're going to offer me a fair price. I told them it's not on the market. The Philadelphia Fed Diffusion Index, a measure of overall manufacturing activity, and this one's important, is expected to fall to 24 in October from September's 30.7 reading. The Conference Board releases its leading economic index. And then Friday, to cap it all off, the IHS market releases its manufacturing and servicing purchasing managers indexes for October. So a lot of things to look at. We got Whirlpool, Honeywell, Cleveland Cliffs, Colonies, HCA Healthcare, Schlumberger, Seagate, VF Corp, and American Express will host their investor calls. So a lot to look forward in the next week. Matt, what do you? I know that was a lot, but anything in particular that you're looking forward to out of any of those
Oh,
announcements? Or
I'm looking at that Freeport Moran.
okay,
That's one of my boys. I don't own them, but I'm low key a fan. I like Freeport. But
uh,
you
Cleveland
said
Cliffs
something.
as
You
well.
talked about you talked about your appraising your house in 2018 to now, and I'm not gonna lie. I thought about one person. I thought about this is real random too. I thought about downtown Josh Brown. And I was watching his podcast. Yeah. I was watching his podcast, and he was saying, everybody's trying to get in front of the Fed. I'm paraphrasing, but it was more along the lines of just trust the Fed, trust the Fed. Stop trying to be a know-it-all. If inflation is transitory, I'm just curious, right? We get more CPI data. We see houses becoming more and more unaffordable for the average person. Is it still transitory? I mean, I still think it's early to call, but we're starting to see more and more signs that inflation is ticking higher, not lower. So whatever transitory is starting to get more aggressive. This
Mhm.
transitory notion.
Yeah. Um, Talking about Josh Brown, shout out to the Compound. If you guys never watched their podcast, I like it. I enjoy it thoroughly.
Downtown
Um,
Josh Brown.
Downtown Josh
They
Brown, they
think they
have a
think
good
too
thing.
much alike though. They think too much
Yeah.
alike. I need more. Give me opposing ideas. They more or less stay on the same page. Nah, give me a
Yeah.
different page every now and then, man.
You need a different person on there to give you a different
You need a
perspective.
contrarian. He
Yeah.
need me up
Yeah.
there. He need me up
Yeah.
there. No, it's not
That's why I got
transitory.
that's why I got you on here. It's because
Absolutely, absolutely,
we
absolutely.
can name this channel the Bull and the Bear. I told you before, the Bull and the Bear.
That's not a bad show though. That's That's not a bad show. That's not a bad
Yeah.
show. I mean, I I get made of fun of being a bear. Meanwhile, we had the most Americans quitting jobs more than ever. But
Oh
it's
yeah.
cool. It's cool.
What are they?
It's cool.
What are they
It's
calling it?
cool. It's cool. Huh?
They're calling it something. I can't remember what they're calling the. It's like the Great Walkout, or I can't remember what
Hey,
there's a phrase for it
yeah,
now. It's called like the
yeah. Y'all
Great
beating me up.
Walkout.
Y'all. It sounds like I'm a liar, but hey, numbers. Men lie, women lie. Numbers don't. So
But
I'll keep it moving.
right now is the best time in American history to go and get it and like pick a job. Like right now, people that are looking for jobs, they can literally go to these jobs that they 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they had zero chance of getting. And they can go and not only get the job, but they can uh, debate and uh, can't think of the word, negotiate. They can negotiate their contracts right now. My brother, man, he got a job, and he went in a few days later. He's like, I want another job. And he went in and got another job, and he's got a felony. And this is a guy who hasn't worked in like 10 years, like not an official job. But now he's got a job, and he's got a felony on him. But go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I agree. So to your point, yes. Um, for every dark cloud, there is a silver lining, and that is the silver lining. With that being said, um, even if it's not a job that you don't necessarily want, or it may be beneath you, it's still a great time to get in because as you're working at entry level, by the time everybody decides to come back, because people will have to come back at some point,
Yeah.
now you're looking at promotions, right? You've been working the last 2 years. When somebody's been sitting at home, you're gonna be the first person they look at to promote. So very
And
important to continue to work.
don't be against being an intern either. A lot of people go the intern route and they end up surpassing their peers because they showed through working without being compensated that they have that tenacity. They have loyalty and ability to want to learn, and not more importantly than earning, but they're willing to sacrifice. And a lot of employers are they like that. They'll make you a manager or something, at least because you're showing you got that tenacity.
Mm.
And a lot of that is lacking right now. A lot of people are not willing to do that. They're too entitled. Just my perspective from the outside looking in. I'm not sure if you see it the same way.
I see both sides. So I definitely see some of that, but I also see the flip side too of a lot of these corporations, man, top 100, $100 billion market cap, and they're paying minimum wage. And this is just my opinion. I know people are gonna get down my throats, but I know companies that are $500 million in market cap,
Mhm.
$500 million. So we talking about 500 million, and nobody gets paid minimum wage. And meanwhile, you have companies that's worth half a trillion, and most of their forces being minimum wage. So it's like that has a lot to do with it too. People are starting to notice the great divide. They're like, hey man, I'm working all these hours. I'm not getting ahead. What's the point? I could sit home and make more money with the government. Essentially, they're playing the economic ladder. So it's a question of either you make the government stop or these companies stop making money. The military does. The military competes with the private sector. That's how we get paid, right?
Yeah.
So these private companies are going to have to compete with the government, back with the government. That's how you just get people to stop walking, pay them a good wage.
Yep. They got to be able
So
to
I
take
see
monies
both.
on
Yeah,
the yeah. They're
I
too
see
worried about
both.
the top line. They're too worried about the
Mm,
top line.
that is true.
You
That
know.
is true. That is true.
Yeah.
I see both.
But
I see both perspectives. We are entitled
yeah.
too, though. I see that. We are entitled. Yes, some of us are entitled. Yeah. we expect to be a boss at 25, 26 years old. So
Yeah, and there's a lot of this monetary and fiscal policy isn't helping the issue either. You know, but well,
mm,
I think like I told you, I know you didn't see tapering coming. It's already been, talked about. I see it coming. They're not going to stop buying the mortgage-backed securities. They're going to reduce the amount that they buy. So it's coming slowly but surely. They haven't announced raising rates, raising interest rates at all.
you
Um,
gonna really make me you gonna really make me email downtown Josh Brown and get him on the show, and I'm gonna have to flame
yeah.
the both of y'all. I'm gonna have to get at both of y'all. I'm gonna get on him with the transitory, and I'm gonna have to get with you with the tapering. And this tapering, let's say for argument's sake that you're right. Let's say that you're right. It's very ceremonious. All right. We know that this thing cannot stop. Nobody's buying bonds at 1%. All right. Nobody, only one person, only one entity in the world is buying bonds at 1%, 2%. Oh, I'm sorry, a whole 2% for 30 years. All right. Let's stop the cat. That's what it is. It's a dog and pony show. Is cat. You wait until the next crisis. Let me not say crisis. You wait until the next hiccup, and we see all this tapering crap go out the window. I think it's pure crap. Not crap. Pardon me. Cat.
Cap. Yeah, he said it's
It's cat.
Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of cat out here.
All right, but everybody out there, thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching us. We appreciate you. Share this with your friends. We're here for you guys. We're here. Matt, thank you for your time. I try to keep
Absolutely,
it
my
closer to 30 minutes. I know that's what
pleasure.
you want. Always a pleasure having you on. I hope the topics were good. We're gonna get back into it. As always, invest in us and press that like button. Invest in yourself and smash that subscribe button. It costs you nothing. Until next time. Peace out, Matt.